Robert is a very poltergeisty type of thing.
Yeah, it's coming from this. It really likes that you're talking about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. My ears are ringing.
Okay. Yeah, the whole side of my head hurts.
Which is interesting because a lot of people say you have to ask permission to talk about the doll.
No, you have to ask permission to talk to the doll.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
disgusting.
different.
Hi, I am.
And I'm Squidward, and we're your Meta PsycKicks. Today we're going to be talking about Robert the doll. Do whatever editing you want with that. I don't know how to... I feel like we can make it spooky, but I'm also not like spooked by it. My ear's just hurting, and I'm like, okay, this is what today is going to be. So
yeah, this whole day is going to be demons. So, if you have never heard of Robert the doll, this doll was actually the inspiration for Chucky.
I hate you.
Gross.
But I did the research, and we are psychic mediums, so Liv is going to read into it because she doesn't know anything about Robert the doll, and she's going to write down all of her, I don't know, predictions, spirits that she speaks to.
Yeah. Whatever they gotta whisper in my ear, like...
And then I will tell you if you're right, or I'll tell you the history.
Yeah. We should have a name for these.
They're famous haunted locations, but they're not locations anymore, so famous hauntings. Unless you got a better name.
Yeah, we gotta figure out something that like incorporates, you know, the fact that, you know, everybody else like covers things. Like, we're gonna talk about this true crime, we're gonna talk about this haunted place, but we're psychic mediums, so we add a little bit of flair.
Spice.
A spice. So I have to talk to this thing?
Yeah.
Well, there's like two things that are talking to me.
What do you mean by things?
Well, so on my right hand side I see like this big dark black mass that takes on more of like a male persona, and it feels very grounded and solidified. Almost like, you know how I say when I talk to spirits they're in like a room, kind of like an in-between, what was it, vestibule?
Yeah.
Sort of a way. Like, well, they can make the surroundings look different, however this room is just completely black, and it's like I can see the outline of the person, three-dimensional, like as if a person was standing there. However, their blackness is the whole room. They're like connected to the room itself. It's a really weird feeling.
Is that Robert then that you're talking to?
I think that's the thing inside of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is weird. But then there's this little thing right here, and it's very like wispy almost, like as if it could be like translucent. It's not, it doesn't feel as solid, and like this thing feels like an imploding star, because imploding stars have a very heavy mass.
I get the same feeling.
Okay, I've never had something that's like, I am the darkness in this room. It's really weird. I'm like, I want to be able to like explain it better. It's like a dark box that I can see them standing in, and it's just the silhouette of a man. However, as the silhouette goes down, it's almost as if the blackness that is the silhouette goes into the room like that, and
Okay,
I
I have a
can feel it.
question. Have you seen the doll?
No.
Where it's at?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's very making me feel like a square, which is weird because I never usually feel like there's a room that people or things talk to me from. It's just a space in which they can manipulate. However, this one can't manipulate the space. It's just a black square.
What is the square?
It's just the space that they're talking to me about. Is there chains or something? They're making me feel like padlock, like really heavy chains, like the ones that we have on Kate's gate because she tries to break through it. Like
They give me
really
the same
big
feeling.
It's really
But there
weird.
is not.
Oh. Yeah, because I can feel like the weight of it.
Yeah.
It's just a weight. Black stars, or a collapsing star is a really, really dramatic but good way to explain the feeling of it. But whatever this thing is, it's like small. I'm not focusing on it though, but it's in the left-hand side, so it's like physically here.
Is that thing associated with Robert at all?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's associated with the place where the doll is.
Got you.
But it's not just associated with the doll, it's the whole place. Is this place is the doll kept at like a place where other haunted things are kept?
Yes.
Oh, that's disgusting. Well, in our other videos, we talk about how we don't actually talk to the dark things or the haunted places themselves. We have some sort of like escort spirit or escort soul that is kind of like our museum tour guide of whatever topic or place we're covering. This is what this is, but it's linked. It's linked to the place in which this doll resides. Yeah, he tells me that he's kind of like the ringmaster of wherever this thing is.
In line.
Yes.
Which makes a lot of sense.
Which is why he's not good nor bad. However, he
has to have enough darkness to keep things in line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't give me a bad feeling at all. He gives me just a very neutral type of thing.
I like how that's
But when I asked
for you.
Well, it's funny
I have someone very different for my tour guide, as you acclaim.
Does your tour guide have like coattails?
No.
No? Okay. Because he shows me there's something else that looks more human. But they're using the same like ringmaster 1920s zookeeper type vibe. You know those little tiny dolls that look like clowns and they have the little like collars with the jingle bells and then their feet have the little jingle bells on the ends?
Yeah.
That's what he tells me he looks like. Alright, tell me the spoopy thing.
Are you ready for the history?
Yeah, my ear's hurting.
So Robert the Doll is over 100 years old. I believe he was made in the 1800s by a company, a German company called Steiff. And the person that created the company, her name is Margaret Steiff. She was a seamstress. And I believe that's the person that you're talking to, is that seamstress.
He's really funny. He's like changing himself to look like Paddington the bear.
That also makes sense.
The little thing. He like pulled out a pencil and started talking to me, but he looks like Paddington the bear now instead of one of those little clown dolls with the blue and white collar. He's telling me that a woman made the doll originally, and that's why it's creepy. He says it's the spark that ignited the flame. Like, he shows me it's like a small candle, or like a little candle in a dark room, like a tea candle. And then he said when the woman made it, she sparked the candle and it had like that tiny tea candle glow. However, I think it was situational. She didn't do it on purpose, kind of like how our Ouija board bagel, the person that made that didn't know for sure why they did it. I feel like she might have lost her husband or someone close to her, and for whatever reason that was translated into the doll while she made it. The doll is old, so without using medium abilities, I assume that there's other owners that have had it. I feel like after the woman made it, a young boy had it, and then there's something about a girl. She's like 13 to 14, maybe a little bit older. She might have known the owner of the doll, like the little boy, but she thought the doll was weird too, but she also, like, something about like playing with it, I don't know. She held it for some reason, but the doll didn't like that, or she didn't like it. I get like some weird feeling in between the two.
Of like disconnection.
Yeah.
It was originally believed, because they don't know for sure, that the doll was made to actually be kind of like a model or a mannequin to model jester clothes or clown clothes, which is why its face is kind of like that and why he was also about 3 feet tall.
Oh, to model outfits like the thing the little thing was wearing.
Yes, it
Weird.
was believed that he was made to wear jester outfits and basically model those clothes as little boys.
That's hilarious.
Yes, and also you're telling me that he looks like, what, a little teddy bear?
Yeah, like Paddington the bear.
The Steiff company was the first company to create the teddy bear inspired by Theodore Roosevelt. But that's why he also, this little thing that you were talking about, turned into a bear. So because this doll is super famous, there's a lot of stories made about the doll. So it is hard to figure out which stories are true. So if you watch more videos like this, like Robert the Doll videos, every single video I watched was different.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there something about a piano being pushed across the floor?
I have no idea. But it was believed that Robert had the ability to move furniture across the room. Like across the room.
Yeah, I can hear like heavy things, specifically furniture.
Yes, I will get to that
and
story.
I can hear it moving across the floor.
Robert is a very poltergeisty type of thing.
Yeah, it's coming from this. It really likes that you're talking about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. My ears are ringing.
Okay. Yeah, the whole side of my head hurts.
Which is interesting because a lot of people say you have to ask permission to talk about the doll.
No, you have to ask permission to talk to the doll.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
disgusting.
different because it wants you to talk about it, because no matter what you say, whether it's wrong or right, it's going to be fuel to its flame.
Oh, that's why you couldn't talk to it. That's why
Yes.
that little thing was like, no.
Yeah, people can't have the audacity to talk to it.
Got
It's
it.
above it.
So it was originally made in Germany and it moved here to the US by supposedly, because all of these stories are like legend, supposedly it was given to this little boy by his grandfather who went overseas to Germany. However, according to legend, there was a maid that the family had that apparently was very much mistreated by the owners of the house. She wanted to get back at them, so she got this doll and put voodoo and dark and black magic into the doll and then gave it to the little boy so that it could wreak havoc on their family. So a lot of people believe that the doll is cursed and has voodoo magic within it. And with that being said, a lot of people are confused by that because they're like, if the family has passed and the curse was set upon them, why is it still haunted? So the woman that I'm seeing, she has a house dress on and like an apron, like a fancy apron with ruffles around it that ties around her.
Was she the maid for the house that the boy had the doll?
That's what I think.
Did the maid know that the doll was freaky? She's telling me it used to keep her up at night.
There's stories about the maid.
She said, are they, okay, what's with the house? Is there a house, like the house that the boy lived in? Because the maid is telling me that the stories that are made up about her are not her. It's the doll manipulating the people to be able to pin it on somebody. She goes, but that's not me because I'm terrified of that thing. She's like, you don't know real terror until something moves and looks at you. And when you're in charge of a child to take care of it, of rearing this child, and you have to do so in a way that fits the situation of a doll. Yeah, because she gives me a very terrified feeling of like, this is not okay, and I saw it, and it makes her she's not upset. She's like, I mean, but she's telling me that the things that people have created about her are not linked to her. They're the doll
Manipulating things.
Yeah, like the little girl on the Queen Mary cruise ship, she's not a demon. It's that the demon uses the idea of her to create a focal point for people to attach lore to. So the thing that's in the doll did the same thing to her, or the idea of her, because people never actually got to meet her.
Yeah.
She goes, plus they always blame the help. Sorry.
Yeah. That's the woman I was talking to.
Oh, okay. She is funny. But yeah, she gives me an absolute sense of cold fear in my chest. But anyways.
Yeah, so that's why I believe the grandfather story of the grandfather went overseas to Germany, got this doll, and then went back and gave it to his grandchild, whose name was Robert Eugene Otto, as a birthday present. So that was another story that I've told, but also the legend that the maid is the reason why it's haunted is like everywhere.
They just gotta blame the woman, and then they gotta blame religions or ideas and thoughts that they don't understand. Jesus makes me angry.
Yeah, which is why I asked you so deeply about why is this doll haunted.
That is so funny.
When this boy, whose name was Robert, received the doll, it was said that he named the doll after himself. And then eventually he started going by Gene, which is his middle name. And when he got this doll, people started recognizing their relationship as becoming more and more kind of weird, inappropriate. They were always seen together. It was almost like he was like a twin of this boy. He very much treated this doll as if there was like, as if it was alive, like as if there was an entity living in it. And what is super weird is that the parents of the family would hear their little boy speaking to the doll, and they would hear a voice that was not their child speaking back to him.
Did the maid make the matching outfit?
I don't know, but she's telling me she did as well.
Yeah, she says that she tried to make it, and like, she's just telling me that when she made the outfit, she's like, I tried to keep the weird stuff into it.
What do you mean, kept the weird stuff into it?
Like, when she made it, she figured that she was gonna, I don't know, like, make it less creepy.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense of why he has a sailor's outfit, and this little doll has a sailor's outfit that matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this woman also was telling me that she did things to try to keep the little boy safe.
Yeah, which was making the stuff out of white fabric. Yeah, but I don't think she was a cultist.
No.
At all. She's like, I just did what I could with what I had.
Yeah.
Without making people think that I was crazy. She's like, because you can't
put love
tell
into
people.
it.
Yes.
She was literally like Lily from Harry Potter.
Harry, Mama loves you. Dada loves you. Harry, be safe. Be strong.
Nobody. Not one. Except you.
Yeah.
Protecting him with old magic.
Because,
Love.
well, she's saying that I have to be careful on how I say that she made the outfit for the doll to try and keep the darkness away from the child.
People are gonna think that she is actually like putting dark magic into things.
Yeah, no, she's like...
I don't think she did it intentionally, but she did.
Yeah. She says people need to understand that I didn't know any of those things.
Yeah.
However, it was my way of dealing with it. Because if I go around to people in the time that I existed and was like, there's this doll and it's really weird, she's like, I not only would have lost my job, but I also would not have a home, and people would be not okay with it.
Exactly. The first time things started being concerning is one night little Gene was asleep, and he was woken up by the doll that had moved to the foot of his bed. Then his mother was woken up by Gene's screaming for help, and when she ran over to his bedroom door, the door was locked, and she could hear furniture being thrown across the room, as well as her little child screaming. And eventually, she was able to pry open the locked door.
And everything was fine?
No. And there's furniture all across the room, and you could see little Gene curled up, like covering his eyes, and the little doll at the foot of his bed. That was when they were starting to realize the doll was not a cool kind of doll.
It's when you burn it and you move.
No, that's definitely not what you do.
You set everything on fire except for yourselves and you leave.
No, you just give it to a museum. I don't even think that would work either. But this doll is very poltergeisty. It very much moves things around the room. So Gene actually had the doll into his adulthood. He had it until he passed. And he moved a couple times, but moved into this house that is referred to as the artist house. And he made sure to have a room that was specifically meant for the doll itself. So there was a rocking chair in there, and there was a window that viewed out to the street. So he would put the doll into the rocking chair, and the doll was able to look out the window at the street.
Did he get married?
Yes, he got married. That was where I was going to next. But he got married, and his wife could feel that this doll was a little bit weird. So
a little bit
weird. So she was like, could you possibly put this doll in the attic and lock the door? Because it scares me. So he did that.
Oh no.
And there were children that would walk past his house, like on the street. They would walk past his house coming home from school and going to school. And one day they came up to him and they were telling him about the fact that they were seeing his doll that was supposedly locked up in the attic in the window of that room in a rocking chair that was moving back and forth. His expression changed, and it was mocking the little children on the street. And when Gene heard of this, he went right up to Robert's room and he was sitting in the rocking chair. He then took Robert, put him back in the attic and locked the door, and Robert continued to move back to his room.
Whatever display that it's on in this place, the little jingle man, he's telling me, because I just went to go ask what specifically is in the doll, or like what, because I see there's like 3 souls that are like human souls that they show me being like, how do I explain this? Remember Kung Fu Panda when he knocks over the vase of like from the valley of whatever?
I've never watched Kung Fu Panda.
What? Okay, so in Kung Fu Panda, Po walks into like the palace place where
yeah, there's a lot of things with him that are like little pieces of paper.
Okay. Anyways, I was asking more questions about it, and the little thing popped up, and he was like, "Don't talk to it. You can't talk to it. You're not allowed to talk to it. You're unable to talk to it. Read the cards."
Read the cards?
He told me to read the cards that are on the display.
Can you read them?
Well, I wanted to know like what was in it, because they're showing me Kung Fu Panda when Po knocks over the vase from the... It's supposed to hold... The vase is supposed to hold the souls of all of the people on the battlefield of this great Chinese war, whatever. But he knocks it over, and you see like this little green smoke that comes out of here. Whoa! And he's showing me that there's like 3 things that came out of the doll that weren't supposed to be there that got stuck there. Like human souls.
Oh.
And now the only thing that's left in it is the darkness, which is why I can't talk to it.
Oh, that makes sense, because I see a dark pit, which is obviously the thing that you're talking about. And then there's people around it, but they're like far enough away so they don't get sucked into it. And then there are people with it that are closer, that don't seem as like afraid of it, maybe because they got sucked into it.
I don't know. I'm just saying, they're just showing me that there's like 3 things that came out of it, like when Po knocked over the vase.
Interesting.
And now it's just the darkness in it, which is why I can't talk to it, because they're like, you can't talk to darkness.
So, Jean passed away, I believe, in the 70s. I believe it was 1974. And at that point, they had someone take over the house and move into the house. So there's a new caretaker of Robert because the house came with Robert. And it was said, allegedly, that this woman's daughter was the person that found Robert in the attic, and they were overjoyed. However, during the night, she would say that Robert would move around the room.
Yeah.
There was a very bad connection with her and the doll. It was almost like when the doll passed hands to this little girl, it was like the doll didn't fit anywhere else. The doll only liked being with this little boy.
Did she try to change the clothes and stuff?
Ooh, I don't know.
She's saying that she tried to change things about him.
But that would also make sense of why he's still in a sailor's outfit from Jean.
That's maybe she was talking about wanting to change things, and that's why it started acting out. So it's not necessarily that it was towards her, it's that you can't touch the things that are about me.
Got you. Because people believe that because there's a curse put on this doll, specifically for this like family, that it was only meant for Jean. So now that someone else had it, it started wreaking havoc.
Oh, the curse for the family would make sense about the grandpa that I told you about.
Oh, that's where the curse is.
Ah.
Because I never get a straight answer when I ask them about a curse.
Yeah, they told me, again, it's not a curse, like I put a curse on it. It's like, it's related to the grandpa dying. That's when this stuff started happening. Because the curse wasn't on the family, it was for the grandfather.
Yeah, because the way that I see it too is, because people are like, well, if there's a curse put on the family, why is it still a curse curse? Like, why is it still affecting people now that are not a part of the family?
Well, because if you change the structural integrity of the doll, then it changes everything about it.
Well, the way that they're explaining it to me, because these people aren't doing that anymore and they're still getting weird things happening to them, the way that I see it is it's like they throw negative energy into this pit of the doll, the darkness of the doll, and it gets slingshot back at them. So it's not necessarily the doll doing it, it's their energy coming back to them, but like threefold.
The guy shows me it's like money. He says he takes the money for the services and then they get what they asked for.
Yeah, that makes sense too. I feel like there is a curse on the doll.
But it's not like the curse that people think of. They're going same,
Yeah.
but different. That's what he does.
Yeah, because I feel like that's how a curse works, is if you put something into it, it gets shot back at you. And that's also why it's like a vortex, like a vacuum, things getting sucked into it, versus like that solid thing that's in the Conjuring house.
The way she explains it to me is this grandfather was associated with some not cool stuff, at least in her eyes. I don't know specifically what it was at the time, but it had to do with like, it was correlated to his status, because they weren't well off. They were well off, which is why he was able to do that. But she was like, you do these things, so you say to quote unquote protect your family, but if you're not here anymore, who's gonna protect your family? So once he was gone, all of the weird things started happening, which is why she's like, I didn't think it would be this big of a thing. Like, it was on purpose, but also it wasn't on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Myrtle was the caregiver of Robert. She had him for about 20 years and then donated it to this museum. And at the museum, a lot of weird things started happening. This museum, like I was telling you earlier, has a lot of other haunted items. However, Robert is like the star of the show. That's where people start coming to this museum specifically just to see Robert, but there are other haunted items with like that you can see in the museum.
Weird.
There are letters that are hung up all around his display area.
Of people begging for forgiveness.
Yes, because people write apology letters to Robert specifically because they have found out that when you try to take pictures of Robert, either your camera will malfunction or you will have like bad things happen to you. You have to ask permission for the doll in order to take his picture without having the bad luck that comes with it. And people say that when you ask him, if he nods, then you are allowed to do so. But I don't know if people actually see him move every time. But I don't know. He does move in the case. Like he's sitting like with his feet out,
Mm-hmm.
and he will move his body.
They like come in and he's twerking on the side of the glass. Sorry.
But yeah, that is Robert the doll. Are you spooked? Also, what do you guys think about Robert the doll? Do you think he's cursed? Do you think what we say makes sense? Let us know in the comments. Also, if you have ever seen Robert or have any other spoopy stories, let us know, because we like to do listener stories where we react to your spoopy stories, and we will leave a link for you down in the description below, and I will probably also pin a comment, but you can click on that link and give us your original paranormal stories.
Yeah, if you went to go see him, let us know how that was.
So, if you guys are interested in more content like this, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and check out these videos next where we go to other famous haunted locations, or we read into it. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah. Enjoy our beautiful patrons, too.
And we're your Meta PsycKicks. I've seen people on YouTube try to use like Ouija boards to talk to Robert. And I can see it like makes like a manifestation of the little doll in there. And he just is like in a rocking chair, rocking back and forth, and there's always creepy music playing in there, and he hums to it. Because he's like the spirit of Robert the doll. Because I feel like he's stuck in this box.
Mm-hmm.
In his display. But he tells me that he's like in a cage that he can't leave. And It's the weirdest thing ever. And then yesterday, all day, I was humming the sound that he was humming. So